everyone, welcome to our podcast. I'm Sally.
I'm Linda.
I'm Ming.
And we're moving Oolong.
This week, we discuss our experiences having the talk and navigating the transition from casual to committed relationships. But before we really dive in, Christmas, for those who celebrate, is only a few days away. So I'm really excited. I'm going home to see my extended family in Ohio. What are you guys excited for?
So I'm excited to go to the chiropractor with my partner. I got him this appointment as part of a birthday present, and I'm also curious to see what they actually do, because if you guys watch chiropractor videos to see how they crack all their joints and things, so I'm excited to see that IRL and maybe experience of it.
Mm-hmm. Are they going to the chiropractor for like specific concern?
It's like an intake appointment, so they give you like an examination and see if they need to do anything.
Oh. Have you guys ever been to a masseuse before?
I would love to.
No.
Yeah, I have no interest.
Really?
I don't want anyone to be touching my back.
Oh, I love massages.
Yeah, I love massages.
But you've never had one?
No, my mom makes me massage.
Non-professional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sally, what are you excited for?
I'm excited, I guess, to see my extended family in New York over the break. Yeah, we always go to New York over Christmas, and it's nice to see the family get together. Although I just saw them for Thanksgiving, which is just like a few weeks away, but it's still nice to see them again.
I know the time in between Thanksgiving and Christmas is so short this year, but I'm also excited to just get away from the residence, from the academic zone, and just kind of relax and chill.
My mind has already shut off, so
yeah, ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't know what DTR means, it stands for define the relationship, which is when you guys have the talk. The talk. Yes, so kind of defining, are you a relationship? Are you friends with benefits? Are you just friends? Are you friends with a possibility of something more? Is it a situationship?
Is it a close relationship?
Yeah, it's a close relationship. Yeah, so there's all these things you need to talk about. It can be a stressful, but sometimes necessary conversation.
Communication is key for sure. But I think it can be a really stressful conversation, especially if you're not really sure already how it's going to end up. Like, if you think it could go either way. But it'll be exciting to hear everyone's experiences, because I don't know if we've already talked really in depth about this.
So let's dive down deep into our stories. Linda, why don't you tell us about how you met your significant other?
So we started talking on an app, but we actually went to high school together. So that was kind of how we started having a conversation. And then, so we've been together for almost like a year and a half now. So we didn't really have the DTR conversation. I think it happened like more naturally or intuitively. I know that I was kind of stressed about it because I like to have everything like defined, and also I think we had a conversation early on about like polyamory. So and we talked about how that could be like a beneficial way to approach relationships, and
so I was sorry, can we define polyamory for those who don't know?
So polyamory is having a relationship with multiple people. So I have a friend who's polyamorous, and he's in a relationship with 2 other married people who are also with other people. So just having multiple partners, and there's like different forms, like they could know about each other, they could be like partners could be in relationships with each other, or it could be more separate. But anyways, so I was like, I wanted to seem open-minded, but like deep down I can't do I can't be polyamorous. So I was like, that was a source of tension for me. I was like, are we poly? Are we gonna be like monogamous? And then I think just one day we started just saying like partner or like girlfriend, and like I didn't object to it. So I think that's kind of how we define the relationship. Yeah.
Was your partner more more leaning towards the polyamory, and you weren't trying to do that?
Like, what brought that up?
I don't think so. I think we were just like having a conversation, and then
you just wanted to be open-minded.
Yeah, and then as like a source of anxiety, I kind of like latched on to it. Yeah.
So you said that you actually wanted to like define the relationship, but you never actually did. Did you have times where you wanted to break it up, or you just never came up, or?
I think that's something that I can work on, like being more forthright with Well, I feel because I think in other ways communication comes very easily to me, but sometimes it doesn't because this is a kind of stressful conversation. If you get an answer that you don't like, you have to be prepared to like accept it and show a good reaction. But for other types of conversations, like what would be considered cheating, what would you do in this situation, I think those are all important conversations that carry the same like gravity as the what are you. Also, like approaching the talking stage versus like the committed stage, I think there's different actions that you can also do to show how much to show your feelings.
So you have to show it before you can even like attempt to have that conversation, or sometimes it's like easier to show it rather than like say it.
Because I feel like my love language is primarily like acts of service, whereas my partner's is really good at words of affirmation. So that kind of characterized how we expressed where we were to each other.
I think especially now in this digital age, some might say, or like more modern age with apps and stuff like that, especially in the college atmosphere, we don't really know when you go into a relationship where it's happening, or even if it is going to become a relationship. Like, it's much more open-ended than, say, like when my grandma would talk about meeting people in college. Every time you met someone, it was with like the full intention of like potentially marrying someone. But now that's not the case, because you can meet someone and like date them for like a day. I guess that's not dating, it's more like hooking up, but like hooking up or like dating them or eventually marrying them. So there's a much more like broader range of what could happen. So I think that's what adds to the anxiety of that question more. When you and your partner started talking, or just like casually, did you see something coming of it, or were you like, oh, like we'll see how it goes, or like what were you thinking?
I think when I was thinking, it was more of like we'll see how it goes, and then as like time goes on, you kind of just like become more integrated into each other's lives. So I feel like even if you don't have a conversation, sometimes it can be like obvious what's happening, and then if you both accept it, then it can just like flow.
I think actually going back to what Ming said about like the modern age of dating, it's actually kind of interesting how different like colleges have different dating cultures. At more, I guess, conservative universities, like I have a friend who went to Liberty University, and she told me like even like freshman year, all she could hear about like from her friends like finding someone they could marry in college. Really? Like that was their end goal in college.
Like get an MS degree? Like
no, like their end goal in college was like to find someone they can marry, and their like goal was to be married like by the time they graduate college, which is crazy to me, because like here in like a more public university, like everyone's just like, I guess everyone's first approach to dating is just, I don't know, more like casual dating, more hooking up, just seeing like who they like and trying to figure out what kind of person they like. But yeah.
I think, speaking for myself, I'm not the type of person who does want a hookup relationship. I never had any interest in just flings or anything. I do want a more committed relationship, but being in this environment where that's what people are expecting, I almost had to like lower my expectations to be like, okay, this guy I'm talking to, he probably just wants to hook up, so that's all you should expect. And that kind of like, it's hard to lower your expectations, but at the same time, I also couldn't imagine being at Liberty like thinking, okay, I'm gonna marry this man.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I guess being in a public university really like made me change my perception of like relationship too, and well, we can talk about that later when we get to my story. But
yeah. You want to start your story?
Okay, so I met my significant other through actually a lot of factors. I guess we kind of joke about it that like the universe is trying to bring us together or whatever.
Wow, that's so soft.
But yeah, we were coworkers in the Department of Resident Life.
Oh boy.
Romance.
I was a community assistant, or CA, in Easton, and he was a RA, or residence assistant, in Easton as well. And we kind of met through training and like just, I don't know, like interacting at the desk together. And we also met through our class it was like a lab class we had together. And since I like met him through training, or like, no, actually I think I met him before. I met him like a semester before through training, and we kind of had like some interactions in the fall semester when we met, and then the spring semester we were lab partners for this class. So that kind of like that's kind of what kicked off this whole relationship, I guess. We would like stay up late nights in Oakland or one of the dorms, studying and like writing our lab report. And we also had some mutual friends, which is another factor that brought us together. So yeah, we would study together, like all of our mutual friends in Oakland. Honestly, if it wasn't for our mutual friends, I don't know if we would study together so much. So that was also like an excuse to see him because we're like hanging out together. So yeah.
So was it one of those like classic stories where you were just friends, study partners, and then gradually like feelings developed?
Or was there something in the beginning?
Yeah, did you like know I'm gonna trap this man? Or maybe not trap, but like I like him.
I don't know. Like I was kind of confused at that time because I was kind of like trying to stay away from, I don't know, like any romantic relationships or like exploratory things because I was a little bit, I like experimented with different, well,
Go ahead.
I had explorations with other people like in freshman year, like I tried to like see what I liked, and I didn't really like anyone that I was actually like seeing, I guess. Well, not really seeing, just like talking to. And then I was kind of scared of being like in a relationship at the time because I still wanted to explore. I didn't really know like what kind of person I liked, and I don't know. I was just like it was very new to me. I've never been in a relationship before. But what like kind of started it was he started like, I guess we started hanging out one-on-one more. We would get lunch after lab, or I guess it was dinner by the time, after lab, and it was kind of like a routine for us. And after like our late nights of like doing lab reports, he would walk me back to my dorm, and I thought that was really sweet. But I don't know, in my mind I always kept like trying to tell myself like, oh, maybe it's like just a friendly gesture, like, but then my friends were also telling me like, oh, he's totally into you, like you should go for that. And then one of my friends was actually like, oh my gosh, your babies would be so cute, they would have like blue eyes and be Asian. But anyways. But yeah, I was like, I was kind of hesitant, but it was when he made the first step. Well, actually, I heard rumors that he actually liked me from a different friend, and I was like kind of shaken up. I was like, I don't really know how to react.
Shook.
Like, I don't know, like, I wasn't really sure, like, if I could see us in a relationship, and also if we went into a relationship, like, what would happen to our friendship, like, if anything happened to us while we were dating, like, we wouldn't be friends anymore. So that's also another thing to consider when like you're in a relationship with someone you're friends with. So, but finally, he kind of like sat me down. He was like, "Hey," well, with a little liquid courage, he was like, "Hey, I really like you." And then I was like, "I heard."
Wow.
But yeah, I wasn't very romantic, which I felt bad for him, but. Anyways, yeah, we started like hanging out more after that, and then finally like we didn't really define the relationship until like a week or so later, when one of our coworkers was like, "So what are you guys?" Because everyone on the staff was like, we could feel the tension between you guys.
There was a lot of catalysts, outside catalysts.
Yeah, and then our coworkers was like, "So what are you guys?" And then we're like, I don't know. And then he like, so we sat down and he was like, what are we?
Oh, so he brought it up.
Yeah, I never initiate. I'm really bad at that. Don't want to approach. It's really hard to approach those topics for me.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad he's like initiating stuff, or else I don't even know if anything would happen if he didn't initiate.
Why do you think you're so hesitant to initiate things? Do you think it's just like the fact that you didn't? I mean, because we all didn't date in high school, right?
Yeah.
So is it that like lack of experience, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's definitely the lack of experience. Like I don't really know how to, I guess, word it. It's really hard for me to express my feelings.
Yeah. Or is it like as
sometimes.
a girl you feel like
also like I feel like traditionally it's the guy, which like I know it's not very progressive for me to say that, but
it's still like a factor.
It's something I like, that the man is like forward, I guess. So
also we like didn't talk about this, but like the confession stage is like also, I mean, tangentially part of define the relationship, like you confessing that you like each other. That sounds so like
yeah.
But is it like you can do all these things and not have feelings? Like
That's
you
true.
could hook up, you could hang out, and still not like develop feelings. So I guess that's part of why like DTR might be important.
Yeah. I guess at the point when we defined the relationship, I was kind of, even though I was like not really sure what I was getting myself into, because I've never been in a relationship before, I was open to trying like new things, I guess, and I really liked this person, so I just wanted to give it a go. And I guess like after we started dating, that's when my like emotions, I guess my feelings about him like began to grow even more, because I don't know, before you date, like you're never as close as you get while you're dating.
For
like
sure.
That's true.
you don't see like all the sides of this person, and you don't, I don't know, like it's not the whole view. But, like once you get to know them,
I
it's
remember
completely different.
when you first were like, we were hearing rumors about maybe like you guys are hanging out a lot.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys like each other? And then I remember you were like, no, I don't like him. I have a crush on someone else.
Oh my God.
Was that like a defense mechanism?
Can
like
you talk about
I would like to know more. Like you didn't want to admit that you liked like your current significant other, or
Wait, does he know about this?
No.
Oh my.
well, we're spilling the tea tonight.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a defense mechanism, because I did not really like that person that you were talking about. It was just like a person I could latch onto, like, oh no, it's someone else. Like, I don't know, I just kind of want to throw you guys off the scent too. Surprise you. But yeah, I don't know, I just like, it's because coming from like being a friend of Ming's, who's always like fawning over her crushes.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like I was like doing that. I didn't want to be the person that was like, oh my gosh, this guy's so nice.
I can't be like you.
That's not my personality.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like being that kind of. No offense, but like I don't like.
it's fine. I don't like
like
it either.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming like Ming.
Yeah, because I think what Sally is talking about is that ever since college, I guess, I have been very vocal about when I had crushes, even like tiny minor ones that like, oh, I just saw a cute guy. I would immediately like tell them and text them. And I don't regret that. That's just part of my personality, but I'm very, very emotionally transparent, I guess, when it comes to that, because to me it's like, it's just a crush, like nothing's gonna come of it. It's kind of like a fun like thing to gossip about. But I think when it comes to like an actual relationship, actually I'm still pretty like vocal about that too. So
yeah, like how do you feel like your transparency kind of translates over to talking actually with your partner?
Yeah, I think my partner and I are really good at communicating. That's something that I admire most about him, is because we're just very, while we might have like a lot of layers, like
Onion.
Shrek. At least to each other, we're pretty open about it, because we do know that communication is such a big thing, and so I think we prioritize that. But I guess we first met kind of weirdly through my big and Tassa. So my big and my significant other are like best friends. So I was always hanging out at my big's place, and then I would happen to just run into
Just happened
to run into my current significant other, but like I had no interest in him at all.
Okay, but it was very suspicious how often you went over to your big's place.
Okay, if you
I was
guys
like, you guys are there again?
To be honest, I was more interested in just bonding with my big. Like, I enjoyed his personality. He has a girlfriend, so I was like, nothing's gonna come of this. So therefore, it's like a safe, like, relation. Because I feel like I'm the type of person that if there's a guy who's straight and like single, and we like,
what's the possibility?
yeah, like it's always
Yeah.
just like, what's the possibility?
Yeah.
Like we get along as friends, there could be more. So, but with my big, there was like, no, there is no more, because you're my big and because you have a girlfriend. So I was more comfortable with hanging out with him. But what I didn't realize is that my significant other was also just hanging out with me, and somehow he like, we were hanging out, and I got this feeling that he liked me, but I wasn't like sure about it. And so I remember telling you guys I was stressing out, because like this changes everything, and like what is our friendship dynamic going to be like? And eventually he confessed his feelings to me first, and I like rejected him.
You were so
Friend
cold.
zone.
Okay, I wasn't cold. I really thought about this. I was sweating over it, but I ultimately valued our friendship way more, and I was so scared of like the repercussions of like what would happen to me and my big, what would happen to our friendship, and like he was pretty involved in TASA, and I didn't really want to have that kind of, I knew it would become a really visible relationship if we did start dating, so I didn't want any of that. So yeah, I said no, and then over the summer, eventually, he wiggled his way through conversations.
Well, because he said no, but you kept hanging out with him. It was like nothing changed. So.
I know, and in that part, I do feel like
you still wanted it.
He must have been so stressed.
We've talked about this, and he was definitely like, what were you doing to me during that time? But it wasn't, I just had mixed feelings because, at least for me, when someone says they like you, I start thinking, I mean.
Do you really?
Like, yeah, that was
maybe?
The way for me to like, do you really like me? Like, why do you like me?
And then I start overthinking it, and I'm like, maybe I could see something. So I enjoyed hanging out with him as a friend. But long story short, eventually, the next semester in the fall, we were talking about our relationship, kind of tangentially. He was like alluding to like liking me, and I was like, maybe I do like you. Maybe if I admit it, or like. I also just didn't want to lose this chance in case I did, so then...
And Linda was like, make your move.
Yeah, Linda... Oh, you're so proud to tell this story, aren't you?
I facilitated this relationship, but I think it was like when me and Ming and him were hanging out, and then I think I left and I texted Ming, like, now's your chance to get him.
And I have a MacBook. I have a MacBook, so, like...
Obviously, he saw the message.
You can see the text on the screen. And he saw it, like, pop up, and we both stiffened. We both saw it, but we, like, ignored it, and then it was just awkward from there. And we've talked since, and he was like, from there I knew. From there I knew.
That was his sign.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda.
And then eventually we kind of just, like, hung out one night, and it... We just confessed, I guess, or he confessed, but we wanted to keep it quiet, so we didn't actually define the relationship at all. We were just like, in my mind, I was like, this guy is, I know him, and I know that once he starts dating someone, he goes like head first, and he's in it for the long haul, and I still didn't know if I was ready for that. I was like Sally, like, I was like, maybe I do still want to explore, like, this is only like, we're still in college, and this is our chance, and I hadn't really dated someone before, and I do enjoy that flirting aspect of talking to people, and, like, was I ready to give that up? But eventually, after, like, a week, we talked, and we're like, okay, we're committed, so it was kind of a combination of your two stories when having that conversation. Like, we didn't explicitly have it, but after, like, a week of still, like, hanging out, it was, like, implied at that point, so...
Yeah, I can tell there's a lot of, like, tension going from friends to a relationship, because for me, I don't think we had that, like, friends first stage. It was, like, I guess, like, feelings immediately, so I think that made the transition a little easier, because I feel like if we were friends, we would have definitely needed the DTR conversation,
But you both knew what you were getting into, like, going into the dating stage.
Yeah, because it was kind of, like, romantic feelings immediately, which is kind of, like, how, like, the context that you interact really, like, necessitate how your DTR will go.
Yeah, it's definitely about the context, because the person I was talking to before, my significant other, I went into that, like, thinking, wow, like, I want to date this person. I have a really big crush on him. Like, I think it's, like, I don't want to be friends. I just want to go straight into it. And then I almost put him on a pedestal of thinking he was going to be this great boyfriend, partner person.
He wasn't.
Yeah. Long story short, he was not. He was definitely below expectations.
He was white bread. I'm just kidding.
We have strong feelings.
That's a little bit too harsh.
But yeah, it definitely is a different experience when you go in, like, already knowing in your mind, like, I'm ready to like, be romantic with this person. But, like, for relationships, it's all like, oh, like, it's messy, gray zone, like, I don't want to mess up other friendships and potentially have, like, a domino effect in that friend group. So
yeah, especially having mutual friends, it's really hard, like, because you don't know what's going to happen to your friends once you guys, like, I guess, aren't together anymore. You don't want to affect your friends and their relationship with.
And even just being in relationships, I always saw either on TV or with my other friends, like, I don't want to be that couple, you know, the one that always try to, like, hang out with the friend group.
It's like they're a unit
and
together.
Like, yeah, I get you guys were friends, but, like, why are you still hanging out, like, as a couple? And so...
Oh my gosh, I hated that. Going on my scholars trip, we were friends with this couple, and, like, the whole time, like, exploring the city, they would just randomly, like, run off on their own, and we'd be like, what the heck? Like, are we supposed to meet up with you guys, or what do you want us to do? And, like, they would just, like, kind of do their own things, even though they still wanted to hang out with us. But just, like, it was really annoying to me, so.
And it makes things so much more complicated, where suddenly... I guess in our society, romantic relationships are more, like, prioritized. And so all of a sudden, even though we're all on equal, like, field of being all mutual friends, you're suddenly now gonna, like, put more investment into this relationship, which is, I guess, fair because it's new maybe, and you're, like, figuring it out, and you're, like, you really are into this person, but it's, like, it does change the dynamics, for sure.
When people say, like, your partner is your best friend, I feel like that kind of just, like, erases your actual best friend or, like, other friendships, because having one person fulfill both of those roles really does, like, elevate, like, romance and, like, heteropatriarchy above friendships, because people will move for their significant others, they'll move for careers, but, like, people usually don't move for friends or for other things.
Or it's considered crazy to do that, whereas if I was to move, like, cross country, you know, you're just investing in your romantic relationship.
But I guess to some extent, I do agree that my partner is, like, one of my best friends, because he's, like, one of the, like, few people that I confide, like, a lot of things to, and he's, like, the first person I talk to, like, even for, like, insignificant things in my day, like, he's one person I can go to for that, who, like, wants to hear that kind of stuff, so.
It's nice having someone who's, like, kind of obligated to, like, listen to you.
That obligation is something that I really value, which sounds kind of possessive, but not in a possessive way. It's always, like, someone having your back, and I think being in a long-distance relationship right now is something that I've really felt missing, is having that physical support with you, because I know that you guys support me, I know that we're all friends, but we're all busy, and obviously in society, like, with that relationship difference, you're not obligated to be my ranting people, and so I really feel like I miss having that support system.
It's interesting how, like, roles in relationships can kind of develop, because for, I guess, in a long distance relationship, like, emotional support and things like that, it might be more important, but in relationships, when you're living together, you might prioritize working together, doing household things, or fulfilling that kind of role.
Okay, so in that case, what do you mean exactly by roles? I don't know if I'm getting that.
For roles, like, different relationships have expectations or different rewards that you get out of it. I guess for romantic relationships, it can kind of be like, that's your one, like, person, but that person has a lot of unique qualities that make them a good confidant, they make them a good supporter, that's someone that knows you really well. So I think that's what I mean by roles, if you guys want to, I guess, like, is that valid?
So you're talking about, like, the difference between long distance and then, like, seeing each other physically in person more often?
How do you see that those roles have evolved since your relationship has changed, I guess?
I think long distance, you become so much more reliant on yourself, which is probably a good thing, honestly, because we'd been dating a little over 6 months when we started doing long distance, and I think at that point I was well into the honeymoon phase where we were with each other all the time, we slept over with each other, and we were just always hanging out. And so the transition, switching into long distance, was really hard, but in the end, I would say rewarding. It is coming to an end now, so I can reflect on it and be like, yeah, I missed him a lot, and I still miss him, but you are basically forced to become more reliant on yourself. And then how do you I've been dealing with this thing where, like, how do I figure out myself as still in a relationship? Like, I am still in a relationship, I'm still committed to this person, but I'm also way more an individual. I have to make myself happy when he's not available, or there's a time difference and, like, he's asleep. So the roles, I would say, I still depend on him for emotional support, but it's not always there. Like, as much as we can send texts and wake up to them and stuff, like, it's not there immediately when I want it or need it. So it's definitely more dependent on finding it within myself, but also like reminding myself in a way, which again sounds bad, but it's like reminding myself that I am still in a relationship, so I can still go to him. It might be a little delayed.
Yeah. Well, even though I'm not technically in a long distance relationship, transitioning from like living on campus with my significant other to like me commuting and he's still on campus has also kind of changed our relationship this semester. So I guess the year before we would eat dinner together. I would cook for him, and we would kind of like be together a lot, like almost 24/7, like studying.
'Cause you had classes together, right?
Yeah, we had classes together. I guess we just did a lot of things together, and it was kind of comfortable, like being together. But also, I kind of felt like sometimes I didn't have my personal space. Like I couldn't. Like, I didn't really feel that comfortable, like, just lounging around all day, like, watching YouTube videos, like I would usually do at home when I'm by myself, and, like, I don't know, like, just doing, like, other hobbies that I enjoy. I feel like most of my energy was dedicated to, like, being with him and, like, I don't know, entertaining him, like, watching movies together. We always had to do stuff together, which I liked, but also I definitely need my own alone time. Like, as an introvert, I need time with myself. So this year commuting, it changed our relationship. Like, he was very, like, I guess it affected him a lot because he really needs, like, the physical, like, contact and, like, seeing each other, while I liked having some alone time, so we had, like, a little argument about that, but I guess he's kind of accepting it now. Like, he understands that I like doing things on my own. Like, I like exercise, like having my exercise time at home. And, like, I like some time when I don't have to, like, talk to him all the time and just, like, focus on myself. So that's been nice for me.
Yeah, it's good to, like, establish kind of boundaries, but also push yourself for the relationship, because I kind of relate to both of what you guys are talking about, because my partner graduated, and so they're not on campus with me anymore, so we kind of lost a lot of that easy time, which is, like, college relationships are so different from, like, outside, because you're literally living, like on top of each other.
Easy access.
Yeah, but I was, like, so bad at texting, but I know that they would appreciate if I, like, reached out more, kept in contact, so I tried to do more, and it feels like it comes more naturally to me now, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think distance is a really great thing for a relationship. Like, once you have that trust established, like, you can really see not how much you need each other, but, like, definitely, like, see how much you rely on each other, and, like, what's the limit, kind of.
Because, like, set a boundary.
Right. Like, in Sally's case, she wanted that extra time, and maybe she wouldn't have known that if, like, you guys had still been, like, together on campus. And for me, I know that I missed that emotional support, and, like, I took it for granted when it was here with me. So it definitely teaches, as cliche as that is, distance does teach you stuff, and it does make your relationship change.
Yeah. In the context of relationships, I feel like it really does reflect the parts of you that you want to, like, control, like, you have to confront sometimes, or that you don't feel comfortable with, and that's just, like, part of growth. And when I was single, I didn't really have this.
I definitely understand where you're coming from when you're saying that being in a relationship really teaches you something, even especially about yourself, I'd say, because I think this is our first real serious relationships for all of us, I would say, if you guys agree. And so I remember when we were in that beginning stages where we've defined the relationship, but it's, like, still new, and it really, you have to come to terms with yourself of having another identity, I'd say, almost, of, like, you're not just you anymore, you're someone's partner, and that comes with a lot of responsibility. And for me, it was having to confront a lot of insecurities inside myself about, like, am I too reliant on this person? And, like, why am I too reliant on this person? And, like, I just remember, I don't know if you remember, Linda, but at one point I was literally in the bathroom, like, sitting on the toilet crying, and it wasn't even because of my partner. It was really just because of me and reflecting on myself, and I didn't know if being in a relationship was the right thing for me. So I definitely understand where you're, like, it's definitely a teaching experience, learning experience.
Yeah, because I would always say, like, I don't like how I'm so needy. Like, being needy is, like, a very, like, I guess, like, stressful mindset to be on, but sometimes it's good to be needy, to, like, reach out, because that's what, I guess, like, relationships enable you to do.
Well, I think when people hear needy, it's such a negative,
it
has such a negative connotation, especially for women, where we're always looked down on as being like, oh, you're needy, you need to be saved. And then us, as I would say, like, modern, educated women who have been taught from our parents that, like, you don't need a man, like, you need to be independent, you need to focus on yourself and your studies, and the fact that you are feeling needy about this man makes you again feel
it's like not
bad.
Feminist in a way,
like anti-feminist to feel that way.
It was against everything that we were like taught in college and high school. And my parents actually had this strict, I guess, rule. Well, not really strict because I never even broke it, but they had this, like, I guess, rule that I shouldn't date anyone until, I guess, college, because that's when they started dating. And high school, they didn't think high school was, like, you weren't old enough to start dating. You needed to, like, focus on yourself, focus on building your own career, focus on, like, your major and stuff like that. So dating wasn't really a big value to me, as opposed to, like, making something for myself out of this college experience.
Also, when you're in high school, like, I feel like I was a real person in high school. Like, who was I?
On the one hand, I can't imagine dating someone in high school because I was already dealing with a whole bunch of my own, like, shit and hormones. Yeah. But on the other hand, I kind of wish I had that experience, just to kind of, like, a test run.
But also, the fish in the sea in high school were not good.
Yeah, let's, it wasn't great. It wasn't
a great pool.
But yeah, definitely being in college where we're more, I guess, Linda, you would say a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're dealing with all this stuff inside of ourselves. Do you think being Asian American woman specifically, like, plays a role in any of this? For me, being an Asian American woman and then feeling that, like, guilt of being needy was almost, like, double, because to me it was like, oh, you're needy, you're that stereotypical, like, Asian woman who needs to be saved by a man at the very least. And so that was, like, an additional weight on me that I don't think my partner could understand fully.
Yeah, because I feel like there is this stereotype about, like, being passive and submissive that's kind of, like, objectified in Asian American women. So I feel like sometimes we have to, like, resist the stereotype, but I feel like being soft and, like, being, like, traditionally, like, feminine, those are things that we should still reclaim, because, like, why is it, like, our responsibility to, like, dismantle this stereotype when it does hold qualities that I value? Not that being needy is that quality, but being able to reach out, being able to be vulnerable are the things I want to take away from that.
Because we feel what we feel. Like, no matter what, we're humans at the end of the day of it. So the fact that I'm trying to, like, not feel guilty about my feelings, it makes me feel guilty. And it's just, like, a whole cycle.
And I think that even though we, like, do have that emotional, like, neediness to our partner, I think it goes both ways. Like, our partner is also, they need us too. So I don't think that we are perpetuating the stereotype by, like, saying that we rely on someone, because it's a mutual relationship, and only through, like, mutually, like, relying on each other can it be successful, I feel like.
I think that's a really mature understanding of relationships, where even we do have separate experiences as, like, being on one side of a relationship or the other, but at the end of the day, you're voluntarily in this relationship because you want to work together and form that partnership. And that is something I've definitely struggled with.
Yeah, and it's something you figure out by yourself, because looking at all the media narratives about romance, it's so crazy. Yeah. Like, I feel like I haven't seen a realistic romantic narrative, especially, like, reading, like, YA stuff in high school. I feel like each of us have our own, like, realistic understanding of partnership and romance, but why is the media like,
sugarcoats everything. Everything, like, I don't know.
Even high school, I thought it was gonna be a musical. Everyone's, like, in their separate cliques in the cafeteria, and that was not how it is. But yeah, romantically, it's just, like, it still, I think, falls back into that those roles as man and woman and romantic relationship, and that really shapes how, like, we expect it to go. And when it doesn't go that way, or when there's added identities on top of that, it just, like, it becomes a mess.
But, like, reflecting on, like, our, like, experiences from defining the relationship, I think we can kind of put it towards our own identities, such as being more assertive, reflecting on our own needs, like prioritizing boundaries, things like that can really translate to being successful in other domains like friendship, like talking to your supervisor, through like mentorship. If we ever get into that role, I think that's very valuable.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Really hope that you guys got something out of it. If you're just entering a relationship, or if you've been in one, or if you're single and, I don't know, thinking about a relationship in the future, I hope that this helps you navigate the conversations that you'll have with your partner about defining the relationship and the roles that you guys play in the relationship.
Definitely. And if you like this episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at movingalongpod, because we'll have some behind the scenes and some fun ways to interact with us. And feel free to reach out to us about this episode or about other topics you're interested in at our email, movingalong@gmail.com.
So we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify, but make sure to subscribe and rate or review us on iTunes. So until next time.
Bye!